What's up, everyone? This is Mike back again to demo more of Drupal's AI capabilities. This video is really meant to pick up where I left off in that last one and start to apply this stuff I've been working on towards more real world use cases. So I want to jump in pretty quickly. I'm not going to go real in depth of what everything is behind the scenes. If you're interested in that, go back and watch the last video. I'll also be creating some more to hopefully give that kind of what's under, what's behind the screen, what's under the hood of this Tool API piece and on some of the other AI components that are playing part as well. But in regards to just setting up this is Drupal CMS pretty much out of the box. I'm going to be using the event content type. I made a few tweaks to it. I've added a field to describe a venue's address and describe the venue itself. I've removed the end date. I've added content translation. Otherwise, this is basically Drupal CMS that anyone else would get if you download, install it, and start playing with it today. I'm using the Tool API module, which is what I'm trying to highlight here. And really, without many changes to it, I'm using a couple things that will be available in the next alpha. But otherwise, it's, again, pretty much what's out of the box. I'm using the MCP module, which is an amazing module, again, to connect an assistant to Drupal and allow the assistant to actually make changes to Drupal, understand your Drupal instance. This is really the thing that kind of powers that connection between your assistant and the Drupal setup itself. And then in this case, I'm going to be using Claude Desktop. It's definitely one of the most capable tool callers. But the thing I really want to highlight here is we're just using tools. And so you obviously will hear lots of talk on the web about agents. And the agents are good at this and bad at this. We're not going to be using agents today. And why is that? Because the focus is that tools, if well defined, can be extremely powerful. And I think if we get that right first, then when you introduced agents, they make agents that much better. And agents can then focus on a lot of the nuance of a situation instead of needing the agents to kind of act as a band-aid for tools that aren't very good. And I'm trying to flip that idea on its head so that agents can be simplified and really focus on the nuance to whatever you're trying to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is just show you that it's connected to this site. So I'm going to ask it to give me a list of tools. So it's going to connect to the Drupal server. It's going to look what's available. And then it's going to throw back the tools. Right now we have a couple dozen tools or so defined. I think in time we'll have hundreds, and you'll really then be configuring tools that are available for a given scenario, role, period at which you're developing this site. Is this a new build and you're just getting started? Is this something that's live and launched and you want to start to really hone in what AI is allowed to touch for a number of reasons, but just to be extra careful about what you're letting it manipulate? Is it something that an end user is using, or maybe like an editor, like content manipulation, but they can only push things into drafts? Or maybe it's an SEO specialist or an accessibility person, legal review, whatever it may be. In time, there'll be more tools than any given person will probably use in one given instance, or that you'd want available to AI at any point. So what I've done is I've created an event, this Employee Appreciation Day. I've introduced a few grammatical issues. We're going to use AI to help correct that. We're going to help it fill out the rest of some of the information we need. We are going to have it help us on the translation side, and we're also going to have it help us on the promotion side. So let's jump into Claude. The first thing I'm going to do is, with this event I've identified, it's going to be at Scripts Aquarium, but I haven't put any information about scripts. So let's have it help us there. I'm going to tell it to grab this node. I'm going to tell it to look up the venue information on the web using its own built-in ability to browse the web. And then I'm going to ask it to describe the venue and save it as a new revision. So it's going to go and look at its list of tools. First thing it's going to do is grab the node, so it loads it into memory. It will then call the existing node values so that it understands the fields that are currently set. It's then going to search the web. And once it's located the website for scripts, it's going to actually jump into that to find the address. Now that has the information it needs, it's going to start to set field values. What's interesting, so sometimes these will fail. So field address failed in this case because it just tried to set it as a single string. So it's actually going to look up the definition of the field so it can understand the structure. In this case, the address should be split up and match the actual address it's expecting. So it's going to do that. It's then going to create a venue description based on what I asked for. And it's going to add a new revision like I asked, and it's going to save. So then when we go refresh over here, we now have the address pulled in. We have a description pulled in. Looks good. We're happy with it. Great. So next, let's tell it to fix some of these other issues we have with the grammatical issues. So I'm going to go back to Claude, and I don't have to tell it to load it again. It already knows like this is contextually what we're talking about. So I'm just going to tell it to, keep making these changes and save it again. So it's checking the field values again. It's realizing the things that should change, some misspellings, misuse of your and your. Yep, great. It's going to set those field values, add another revision. And then it's going to save. And we go over here again. Looks like it's fixed our issues here, fixed all the issues over here. What we can actually do is we can come in here, we can compare them, and we can see the changes. Great, fix that, fix that, fix that. Looks pretty good. All right, so now we have the content in a pretty good place. What we want to do now is let's have it actually help us with the translation. So I'm going to go back to Claude. And actually, let's go over here. I'll show you real quick translations. There's not a Spanish one available. So I'm going to go in and say add Spanish translation. It's going to go ahead and try to get that translation. That way it can determine if it needs to create one or if one already exists that it just needs to update. It's then going to start translating the field. So it's going to translate the title. Going to translate the description, should do the venue description next. It will probably add another revision and then it's going to save. All right, and so it's added a Spanish translation. So let's go over here to translate. We now have two versions of this. We can go over here and we can see the fields that we expected to translate are translated. Let's say we're happy with this and next we want to promote this. So what I've done is I've built a tool that's a subset. So by default, there's a send email tool. That's one of those I would not just give up for AI to call on its own because it has full control over recipient, subject, message, everything. I would want to constrain it. So I built a subtool of it that actually locks in the recipient and it says this is going to be sent to internal@example.com. Additionally, I want to attach some brand voice to this. So especially when it comes to content editing or auditing or whatever it may be, you might want to carry your brand through or sub-brand or whatever it may be so that the tone of the article, how you talk about things in general, how you include or very inclusive in the language, whatever it may be, is all part of that. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to attach this little example brand voice text I made so that it knows what I need to use for that brand voice. And then I ask it to confirm with me before sending. Now, most of the time you would have your brand voice somewhere that can be centrally maintained. An example might be maybe you have it on your Drupal site and you actually have a page that's accessible by AI to call, and you build a tool that's like go load brand voice, and it can go in there and understand how you want to talk about things, or even subsets, like here's how we talk about different services or products a little bit differently, whatever that may be. In our case, this is just a simple example, so I'm just going to load a text file. There's also third parties that assist with that, and what's awesome about MCP is you could actually connect across a lot of different software and have it, go to one piece of software to help you massage the brand voice, come back to Drupal to make the actual edits, whatever that may be. That's again why this is so powerful. So you'll see here, it then generated a kind of promotional email for me. Says, it looks like to me, lots of different puns. So don't be coy, yada, yada, yada. I wonder why it's doing all those puns. Let's look at the brand voice document I used. Oh, brand voice, marine animal puns. Perfect. Nailed it. It's got it just how we want it. So once we're happy with this, we'll say continue. And it's going to call that send company email tool. And then I've just blasted out an email based on, the thing I've sent, and it's sent to everyone. Now, obviously that's probably a little overzealous. I'm not quite sure I'd attach even a send email tool in this way, but you could imagine being able to use like the send email one, maybe on a specific agent whose role is to look at contact form submissions that come through and evaluate what department or subset of customer care, whatever it may be. And it could then navigate from between a few different email addresses based on subject matter. It can then forward the title, it could forward the subject, it could do whatever, it could try to analyze the tone, so forth. So I wouldn't just use the send email stuff right out of the box, but you can see the power is there to really like start to do some like routing with messaging or whatever it may be, using AI to help you evaluate and determine where it should go. So that's it for the demo today, but hopefully this is useful for showing you more use cases that are a little bit closer to real world stuff. We're still kind of early stages on the tool part in particular. There's lots of great work going in across the AI contrib space all throughout. This is just one area that I'm focusing, and I think will be really huge for Drupal's future in terms of unlocking Drupal's capabilities to AI rather quickly, in terms of just it's there now, let's figure out how to use it and how to package it and featureize it and make it useful for people every day. So thanks for joining, and more from me soon, and talk later.